Hey, good morning, good afternoon. This is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, and I am once again here excited to introduce another guest to provide us with some motivation, inspiration, and education to get our day started. So this is Mr. Josh Archer. He is an actor originally from Richmond, Virginia. He moved to Los Angeles in 2017 and can be seen on such television programs as S.W.A.T, 911, Station 19, American Crime Story, Bosch Legacy, and Young and the Restless. He can also be seen in the upcoming film He Went That Way, starring Jacob Elordi and Zachary Quinton, slated to hit theaters in early 2024. Aside from acting, Josh is also a martial artist and a black belt in American Tang Soo under Master Brandon Kemmer at Cutting Edge Karate and Krav Maga. Josh is also a professional caddie at Sherwood Country Club and has been able to work for some amazing people, including the former President Barack Obama. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Economics from Virginia Commonwealth University. Josh, thanks for being on Master Motivation Podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm super excited to have you on here. As we were chatting a little bit before, you know, my goal and my whole motivation and inspiration is to bring guests to the show that have that positive mindset, that have that positive attitude. And as I travel to the local martial arts schools, specifically within our organization, I get the opportunity to meet students and black belts that really kind of stand out to me. And, whenever I come to Cutting Edge, you're always, one of those guys that just stands out to me and has that positive attitude and has that positive mindset. And of course, you've got a very diverse background that I would love to share with everybody. So excited to have you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you again for the kind words. I appreciate it. It's very nice.
So Brandon's somewhere probably in the background over there, and we've had him on the show. And did he take off?
Yeah, he's gone now, but he might. I don't know. He might still be here. But.
I mean, he was nice enough to let you use the school and use his office to talk with me today. But first question right out of the gate, got to ask. What is your motivation behind getting involved as an actor, getting involved in martial arts, and ultimately moving from Virginia to Los Angeles? Let's talk about all that.
Sure. Yeah. So, I guess my motivation's kind of changed over the years. It's constantly kind of evolving. But, from the start when I was in Virginia, it's, you want to come to LA and be the biggest star ever. That's, you have those delusions of grandeur as you're over there and you don't really see how everything works, how the whole business works. But since I've been here, it's just, I'm just trying to be able to support myself doing something that I love to do. And I work really hard at it, and it's going to get there eventually. And I've been able to book some things, and that keeps me going. There on the acting side, also, moving from Virginia to here, obviously I left my family and all my friends and everything, and so that motivates me. The fact that I had to sacrifice, kind of relationships with them to be here. To do this thing. And so, if I don't do it, then it's, I feel like I'm letting everybody down over there. So that just really, that really pushes me forward on more than anything on the acting side.
Yeah. Awesome. Brandon did comment. He's watching us online now. So he says, hey, make sure guys go to Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, but go check out Brandon Kemmer's episode as well. He's one of my very first episodes that I ever had. So continue on. We were just talking about moving from Virginia to LA, acting, challenging, sacrifice.
Yeah. So I mean that's really what drives me, because I do have a close relationship with my parents and my family, my whole family over there, and I have a lot of friends back home. So it was really hard. To take that leap and do it, but you have to. Like if you want to be an actor, you have to be in LA, New York, or Atlanta. And I always just thought LA. And so I moved out here, and as soon as I got out here, I hit the ground running hard. I was in classes, 5 nights a week, meeting casting directors. I got an agent kind of soon, and just really just pushing forward as fast as I could to try and work. And it's, I'm not going to fail. It's really what the motivation is. It's like I just can't bring myself to fail. So I just have to. I may not be the most talented, but I will outwork everybody. And that's kind of the lane that I try and stay in.
I love it. Well, tell me where did you get the acting bug? When did that start?
So I did my first play when I was in kindergarten. I played Cottontail in Peter Rabbit, but I don't really remember that obviously. But it was really fifth grade. We had to do, it's elementary school. You have to do every elective and stuff, and so chorus was one of them. And every around Christmas time, you do the Christmas play. And so we did a show called "We're Going to Branson." It was like a country western Santa play, musical, whatever. And normally, in elementary school, they just assign people roles, whatever it is, but we actually had to audition for this. And so I auditioned for Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. And I just remember, like, we had to go to school early, and it was a monologue in this thing that was in the middle of a song. And so we just had to do the monologue for the audition. And I think I only did it against one other guy, but I got the part. And just getting the part was like, I felt it was so satisfying to win. And that was the first part. That was the first thing that kind of hooked me, was like, that it was kind of a competition and you could win. And it felt really good to get that part. And then the second thing was when I actually performed it, and we had to do it. And, you have to do it in front of everybody. And it's a hard thing to do. Like, public speaking is the number one fear of people in the world. And so doing that and kind of getting through the fear and doing that is also, another really satisfying thing that I still do to this day. I mean, it's one of the reasons I got involved in martial arts, is to kind of do hard, push through hard things, not necessarily not do things that I want to do, but push through them, because you get, so much satisfaction out of it. So I got that part there. And then I continued to kind of do it throughout schooling and throughout through high school and stuff. And we did a bunch of plays every year in high school. And so when I first got to high school, I was in theater, and the first day of school, my friend was like, "Hey, are you trying out for the play?" And I was like, What do you mean, trying out for the play?" And then so I followed him, and we had to go to the chorus room. Apparently, you were supposed to prepare a song, and so I sang arguably the worst rendition of "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" you've ever heard in your life. It was terrible. But I guess they needed people, and I got cast in that as well. So, and it was great. It was just, I just got into high school. I didn't have that many, close friends or anything. So it's good to be part of a community, good to be part of something. And I kind of latched onto that and did a bunch more plays throughout high school. And then, being in Virginia, if you don't have a plan to come out to LA, it's hard to kind of stick with it, other than it being a hobby. Mm-hmm. And so after high school, I went to college. I went to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, and kind of majored in something else, but kind of stuck with it a little bit. But then what really got me into film was John Adams, the HBO miniseries. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but they filmed that in Richmond. And so I got to be an extra on that for like 12 days. And just the scale of the projects, like, we were in the middle of the field and there's an entire boat there. It was just like the whole movie magic aspect of it was just fascinating, and just it really drew me in. And I got to work on that for 9 days with Paul Giamatti, and then a bunch of those other people, and it was just awesome. And that's when I knew that I had to do it. That's what I wanted to do.
So that was like the deciding factor. Like, okay, I've done plays, I've done some some fun theater stuff, but now, like, it's time that I want to be a professional and I want to take this to the next level.
Yes, yeah, I want to be a part of this all the time. Yeah, it's pretty much what it was like. It was cool. It was just so cool.
I have to tell you that, when I go to like Universal Studios, right? Like, I love everything about movies. I just love, I love the way that stories are created. I like, kind of just seeing how it works. I've been an extra in a couple, small things. Actually, the Karate Kid 3 was one of the things that I was an extra, awesome. But to kind of be in the background and watch everything going on and watch the actors, I was never really a starstruck type person, but it was fun to watch them as professionals, how they interact, and, listen to, some of the calls that they made and things that they did. I go to Universal Studios and I read like everything, like how it was made and what their thought was going in, and, what the director thought and who did the screenplay. It's just like, I don't know. I've always been drawn to the movie industry, although I've never been an actor per se, but, entertainment and performance for sure. I can understand, how, being in a theater, being in a theater club, being, in the plays in school kind of leads you in that direction, right? Was there anybody else in your family that had this same type of interest, or where did you find that, I guess maybe I'll say confidence or just, because you got to be pretty outgoing to get up there and get up on stage, right? Like, because most kids are like, hiding behind mom or dad and kind of staying real close. So what kind of formed that personality in you to have that ability?
I don't know. I mean, most of my family is pretty outgoing, but I played sports all growing up. So I think, I played pretty much up until I got to high school, and then I wrestled in high school for a little bit. But I played basketball and baseball, so that kind of team aspect, team camaraderie thing is kind of probably what drew me in most to doing those plays in school. It's kind of a similar thing. I honestly do not even know. There's zero people in my family that are in the industry at all. My grandmother was an artist, like a painter.
Right.
That's about as close as it gets to any type of fine arts. They're all doctors, lawyers, other industries, finance, other industries in general. So I don't know. It was just like a series of events that led me in that direction, and it's something that I tried to do other things and just has never been able to escape. So it always just I always get brought back.
Right. Well,
and eventually I just did it. Yeah.
And you talked about being part of the theater club, or being part of kind of a team, right? But you also played sports. So being part of a team, there you are. Being part of a team was something that was an important part of your life, something that shaped you and changed you. What can you say? Where can you draw the parallels between actors and acting and sports and athletics? Uh-oh. I lost your sound. Yeah. Can you hear me, Josh? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. See if you can check your settings at the bottom of the screen. Sorry, guys. Bear with us here for a second. Josh is going to check back in on his audio. Once again, if you guys are watching here live, I've got Josh Archer, who is an actor and a martial artist who's got a great story to tell. We're in the middle of talking about, his theater performances and some of the things that led him to become an actor. And then we started talking about sports. And so my last question was asking Josh, how being involved in theater and how being an athlete, if there are some parallels there. So let's see if we can get him back. Josh, can you hear me yet? All right, how about now, Josh? I can't hear you. I have no audio. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. We'll give him a minute. Guys, bear with us. Technical difficulties on live videos. Josh, is there a settings at the bottom? He'll come back. We'll see if we can get him to change his settings. Well, I got a couple people viewing now, and while I have you live, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any of those questions while we're here live. And I got Josh back. Hey, Josh, you got your audio?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can.
I can't hear you. Now I can't hear you.
No.
I don't know what happened.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you at all.
No.
Weird. I tried to come back in. Call.
All right, guys, I'm going to take a break here. We'll be right back. We'll see if we can come back live. All right, what do you say? Can't hear me. We had it working, and a phone call took us off. Still nothing? Hang in there, guys. Bear with us. We're almost there. Probably not. Uh-oh. I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now too.
Oh, we're back. Look at that. That's okay.
Let's try that.
All right,
Sorry about that.
let's see who's dedicated and still watching. So, guys, once again, this is Josh Archer. For those of you just tuning in, we had a little technical difficulty for a couple minutes, but we were talking about Josh's experience as an actor and all his experience in theater and plays, and then we were talking about his experience in athletics as well. And so, the last question that I asked Josh was, what would you say were some of the parallels between acting in theater and athletics?
Um, you know, I think athletics is a little bit of performing as well, but it's also at the root of it, it's the preparation, it's the practice, it's the learning fundamentals, it's learning technique, it's there are a lot of a lot of parallels on the back end that don't really necessarily have to do with the final product. Whereas in sports it's more reliant on another person. Like if you're playing baseball, like you can't exactly predict what they're going to pitch you,
right?
Versus when you're acting, what you're getting up on the stage and saying.
Sure.
But it's the same. It's rooted in the same aspects of you need to know fundamentals, and then from those fundamentals you can build a technique. And I think it's also very similar because a lot of I think in sports people kind of find their own way of doing it. Like they find their own way to throw a ball. They find their own way to, hit a ball. And that's in acting, in my opinion, there's people that don't believe it. There's people that believe you can learn a technique, use that technique, and then it's that technique. But I think you have to make it yours. I think if you don't make it yours, it doesn't seem very organic. And so, in that respect, that's what I would say kind of the parallels are. It's more in the preparation than the final product.
And something you had said earlier was that, no matter what it is, whether it's acting, whether it's athletic sports, and now martial arts, of course, no one will outwork you, right? I mean, you might not be the most gifted or talented out there, but no one will outwork you. And I love to hear that because that's something that I've lived by for a very long time is that, I may not have the most talent. I may not have the most experience, but I am going to outwork and I am going to outlast, everybody in my field. So I think that that's a really great thing to have. If young students were watching this, be my favorite, one of my favorite quotes, by the way, from The Rock, is be humble, work hard, be humble and be the hardest worker in the room. Right. That whole quote. And I just love that. So, I mean, we talk about that with our kids, but also, as adults have to learn that too. Now, artistically, you talked about how everybody kind of has their own way of doing things, and that's how you make something feel a little bit more organic. Which leads me to talk about your martial arts training, right? We can talk about the backstory in a second, but isn't martial arts the same in the way that, like, yeah, you're going to learn how to throw a punch and you're going to learn how to throw some techniques and fundamentals, but to really make it fit, you got to make it you know, for you, right? Make it work for you. So tell me a little bit more about, how you got involved in martial arts, how you started training at cutting edge karate and Krav Maga, and what really drew you to it.
Sure. Yeah. Before that, I'll go back. It's an awesome quote from The Rock. There's another one that I really like. I think it's from Mike Krzyzewski, but it was on, which he used to be the coach of Duke basketball, but it was somewhere out there. He is training when you are not, and when you meet, he will win. And I love that quote. And with that quote, I don't like to lose. So it just, that one always resonates with me, where if I want to stop training, it's like someone out there's not, they're not stopping, and
Right.
I'm not going to stop either. Yeah, so really, I mean, martial arts has been something I've been interested in my whole life. My dad used to show us, Bruce Lee movies. I always loved Ninja Turtle, stuff, Power Rangers, like stuff like that growing up. Always loved it. But back in Virginia, it's nowhere near as big as it is in Los Angeles, where, there's karate or any type of martial arts studios on every block. You can do whatever you want. It's just not that big over there. So it's hard to find anywhere, let alone a good one. So I never really did it growing up. I did it when I was like 4, something like that. But it's just not something that a lot of people do over there.
Right.
So when I got over here, I noticed that, and for the first couple of years, I didn't want to do it because I was an actor, and I'm like, I'm not going to go in there and get my face beat up and then have to go to an audition and have black eyes, and people are like, what is going on? And then COVID hit, and the entire industry shuts down. And really, what brought me in and what kept me here are two different things. And what brought me here was that I needed to get out of my house. Like, I would just go to work and then come home and then sit in my house, all night, and then wake up and do the same thing the next day. It was just got so monotonous, just felt so stagnant. I just felt like I wasn't doing anything. And I couldn't, because the industry's closed down. And so I decided that I was going to start jiu-jitsu, and I started jiu-jitsu at a place called Gracie Barra in Northridge. But it was still COVID, and it was still like, probably not the safest thing to do, especially because I was planning a trip home for Christmas. I didn't want to get COVID and not be able to go home and see my family and stuff. Right. So I stopped going there, and walked into Cutting Edge one night. Brandon used to run a special where it was like a month for $50. A long time ago. It was like 4 classes or whatever. So I came in, I did it, and it was a forms class. Never done a form in my life. I'm doing Gicho Hyung Ilbu, looking like an idiot. And it was just, and it was like, not really what I expected, but I had to do something. I could not sit at home. So I just kept coming back. And I eventually, and I still do it to a degree, but I come to every single class and every single discipline we teach here. And I just, became obsessed with it. And it's great. And it helps me be a better actor. And the reason it helps me be a better actor is because it's so much harder than acting. And so when I come in here and I'm trying to learn a jump offensive heel kick in my mid 30s, that's a tough thing to learn. But when you do it, and when you succeed, and when you can do it, it's like, it's so amazing to be able to be so bad at something and then end up being good at it. That's like the progress that you get in martial arts training is unlike any other. It's like, and eventually, you get to a level where you are just doing the technical stuff. But when you first start, it's like, it's so progressive, and it just makes you feel so amazing. And and because of that, it helps me to be a better actor. And on top of that, the testing, my first test as a white belt, I'm the only adult, 34 years old. And I was unaware of how testing works. So I come in as a white belt. I'm testing with 20 other seven-year-old kids, and then their parents are there. And as an adult, that's a really nerve-wracking situation. It's humiliating. It's all that. But then after that, it's like that. I got through that. I can get through anything, and acting wise. And I had a really big problem because all I had was acting for a really long time. And because of that, I just became so obsessed with it that everything that went wrong would be so life or death. And it was just really, really affecting me, like, mentally, where, because it's just constant rejection. in acting. It's like, that's the business. And if you can't
Mhm.
deal with that, then you shouldn't be doing it. But because I have nothing else, like, it's that makes it really hard to deal with. So to have martial arts, on as another obsession, just really takes away. It just makes me so much feel so much better mentally about everything, about life, about everything. Because you come in here and you do a jujitsu class and you get beat up. The next day seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's it's just like,
Right.
it's like constantly putting yourself through those stressful situations makes the rest of life seem pretty easy. And that's just another fact that just drives me. I just love that feeling of pushing yourself past your limits.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I totally bailed and biffed that quote. Be humble, be hungry, be the hardest worker in the room. But the
Yeah.
first statement, be humble. So you're talking about being involved in acting, and how you constantly deal with the rejection. Now you have this perfectionist A type personality where, like, when you're learning martial arts, like, especially as an older adult versus being a young kid, it's always harder to learn how relearn how to move your body than it is to learn how to do it for the first time, right? So, like, young kids, we're teaching them how to move. We have to teach someone like you that starts in their mid 30s how to relearn how to move your body. And man, how frustrating can that be, especially since you are also an athlete, right? And now you're learning this form, or you're doing these jump kicks, or you're being put in these situations. Was that difficult for you to humble yourself? You talked about taking your first test and being learning a lesson in humility, and I don't think that is a negative connotation at all, because I think that it's important. But did you have a hard time with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not the most flexible person. So, starting off with karate where you're kicking, with Tang Sudo where kicks are so important, that's tough. I mean, getting that side kick up, getting that round kick up, even front kicks, getting the flexibility in your hips. But yes, that the perfectionist mindset in me has gotten me very frustrated. If Brandon's still watching, he could write a paragraph about how patient he has been with me, because there's been times where I just do not get it. I don't know how to move my body that way. And that's another thing that I mean, where you can be so bad at something and then just keep working it, keep working it, keep working it, and all of a sudden you're pretty good at it.
Right.
And that's just something I've never experienced in athletics at all. Like, throwing a baseball, it's like you kind of learn how to throw a baseball your whole life. So you're constantly getting better at it. But when you're starting something from the bottom, and then you're able, to do pretty good, that are pretty amazing things. It's just so satisfying. But yeah, it was. I remain frustrated constantly with things. As learning new forms and stuff. It, it's just like a it's just so hard to wrap my mind around how to put my body into certain places.
Right.
And that's like that. I give full credit to Master Brandon Kemmer for sticking with me, because he probably should have thrown me out a couple times.
Well, the journey continues, right? I mean, you worked your way to black belt, but we all know that that's not the end, and the journey continues, and those frustrations over time um, probably don't necessarily go away. You just learn how to deal with it a little bit better, right? And how to move on. And like you said, all of these things that you face on the mat are so powerful and so impactful in your career, right? So the lessons that you're learning on the mat transcend far beyond the four walls of that martial arts school. Now, tell me, as we're talking about, kind of struggles, what were some things that maybe you struggled with as a child, that carried into your adult life? What are these things that we've been talking about, something that you've always faced, or were there other things?
um, I think, honestly, my main struggle as a child, and like going through schooling, it's ironically a motivation problem. If it's like, if I'm going to French class in high school, I'm not going to be motivated at all. Like, it was so hard for me to force myself to do something like that I really didn't want to do or see any value in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really struggled with that, and I just wouldn't do it. So sometimes my grades would suffer in that respect. And it's just like, I just, if I didn't see any value in it at all, I would not be motivated to do it at all. And that continues in my, in my adult life, which is why I try and just do things that I'm interested in, and not try and force myself to do things I have no interest in.
Right.
Because something like Krav Maga is not, it's not my favorite art, martial art, but I push myself through it because I think it's really hard, and I think it's important to push yourself through really hard things.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was, if like if I had to learn French, for example, again, I wouldn't do it. I would not have the motivation to do it. And it was like, if I wanted something as a child, I would get it. I'd find a way to get it. I'd go door to door, knock on doors and mow lawns, that type of thing, to be able to get what I want. But if I wasn't interested in it, I would not do it. And it just
Mm-hmm.
drove my mom kind of crazy. It would, I get that speech a lot. That's like, you're not realizing your true potential type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's hard as an adult, when I'm still in Virginia as an adult, when I want to be an actor, and I'm doing, some of these other things. Like, I worked in finance for about 5 years, as an equity research analyst, and it was just something I did not want to do, but I had to wake up and, do it. And I did it for a living for a while. But it's just like, do it. For me, if I'm not doing something that I'm actually motivated to do, I fall into kind of a spiral where I just become kind of lazy. And so I've known that about myself, and I really didn't figure that out until I got to LA, because it's such a city where, if you're not working, you're getting left behind. You have to
Right.
work. And
Right.
so it's like, it was the best thing that ever could have happened to me, was coming here, because
Mm-hmm.
I truly have, I'm not everywhere I want to be yet, but I have realized a lot more of my potential than I ever could have back
Mm-hmm.
east. So
Right.
I'm really grateful, for that, and for everything. And, especially for the studio that I was, able to walk into, because that's a big part of it. Getting a black belt, when you're not even thinking about a black belt in your 20s and, early 30s, and then all of a sudden, now I have a black belt working on another one. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you reminded me that, and I often say this to my own children and to my students, sometimes you have to do certain things to get to the place where you get to choose what you want to do, right? You do what you have to do until you get to do what you want to do. And
Absolutely.
I wrote a note here, and as I was listening to you talk about it, potential, versus, say, passion, right? So listen, you could have all the skills in the world to, you might have a degree, right, in economics, right? But so potentially you could have a great career in a different field, but your passion lied in being an actor and pursuing, the acting career. And I often ask guests about, like the college thing. Like, did you go to college because you thought you had to, or because you wanted to, because it was a means to an end? And I was so fortunate and so lucky that, like, I opened my martial arts school at 19 years old. I've never had any other career. It was definitely my calling and definitely my passion. My father was in construction. I could have easily had the potential to learn all about construction, how to build homes and do all that. And I didn't, because I chose my passion over that, right? So I just think that that's kind of an interesting concept, and just a thought as people listen to this. Mom and dad want you to do this, or mom and dad think you should do that, but, like, here you are, crazy dream. Let's go be an actor. Let's move from Virginia to LA. I mean, it's just kind of a crazy dream, but that when that passion is there, it's like you talking about French. Like, I could care less about learning French. I'm not going to be motivated to do anything in French class. Why, let's focus on, the strengths and the direction where I'm really excited about moving forward. And I think that that's where a lot of motivation does stem from. Our motivation stems from our passion, what we're passionate about. And so you found that thing, right?
Yeah.
Many people don't ever find that thing. They're kind of scrambling through life, or you know, they don't have a lot of options. So they get stuck with that job that it's like now they got a 20-year career in something they don't even love to do. I couldn't even imagine it. Just that doesn't enter into my brain and how I think. And obviously it doesn't enter in your brain either. So we got a viewer here. Comment was, this is great. I follow this quote, write your own life story. And I think that that's important, right? We can get caught up in letting someone else write our life story versus making our own choices and choosing what drives us and what motivates us. So let's talk about another topic. Let's talk about, again, you've been on different shows. What are your goals as far as being an actor? Like what would be the ideal situation that you'd be doing?
Series regular. I mean, that's if I could get a series and get on series regular where I mean, originally I wanted to do movies, but there's a lot of travel with that, and the older you get, it's tougher to really go with that schedule. But a series regular, and everything's going that way anyways. Everything's miniseries, everything's bingeable television. That's that's the way that the industry is headed, and that's great. It's fine. It's there's a lot of content out there and a lot of opportunities for actors. So it would be series regular where I wake up, I go to work, I go to the studio, I get do my part and get to do all that, to get to play a great role for 6 or 7 years, and some on a hit show. That would obviously be the goal. It wouldn't be a one season and done. But yeah, I mean, it would be series regular. Just some type of stability is great, because it's tough to just constantly be in that type of rat race thing where it's just a gig. You're just getting gigs and gigs and gigs. It's nice to just have just that set thing where you know what you're doing, because I mean, we could be on this thing right now, and I could get the biggest audition of my life that's due in 2 hours. Like, stuff like that happens. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to have that stability, know that I'm getting paid, and just that's kind of what it's all about, is just the stability.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good luck. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see something, where you're doing what you really, where you want to be, and have that stability that you're searching for. What's been your greatest experience as an actor so far?
There's been a lot of different ones. So on American Crime Story, I got to work with Edie Falco and Clive Owen, and I like I've been fans of them for a long time. Edie Falco and Sopranos, and Clive Owen and everything, and it was great. Like, it was just so awesome to be fit, because when you're on set, even if you have one or two lines or something, for the most part, unless I haven't met any actors that are this way or anything, it's very much a teamwork environment. Like, you want to be on the best team. And so even, me having one or two lines, I'm still a peer with them in that respect, instead of, but they're, very famous actors, but right then I'm a peer. I'm the same as them. And so that's just a really cool feeling there. But I'd say it's probably from this movie, He Went That Way. It was cool. I got to work with this kid, Jacob Elordi, he's getting pretty big. He's in that new Elvis movie, Priscilla. He's on the HBO's Euphoria. He was super nice guy, really cool. But it's the first time I've been killed in a movie, and so he shoots me in the head, and that was just like a really cool experience to have, all the special effects and stuff, and then I've seen the final cut of it, and it looks great, and then it's just that's so far probably my coolest.
That's probably not your average positive experience that most people would talk about, is getting killed.
I know.
But that's cool. When you brought up Edie Falco, I was like, my ears kind of propped up. I was like, Edie Falco, Sopranos, like, dude, awesome.
Yeah.
Without, throwing anybody under the bus or naming names, have you had any really bad experiences?
Not really on set. People are pretty behaved on set usually. Everyone, as far as I know, everyone's been pretty nice. I'm trying to think if even, well, No, no. I mean, no, not really. I mean, everybody's been pretty nice. Everybody's been pretty nice to me. I mean, like I said, I'm only doing these, 2 or 3 line, maybe, one scene things, and
Mm-hmm.
people tend to be pretty nice. And I'm not there for that long. I'm not there for the entire shoot where people, when people are together every day for 3 months, then things
Right.
start to get heated and things
Right.
like that. But I haven't had any bad experiences yet, which has been great.
And, of course, Brandon Kemmer would be someone that you would call a mentor in your martial arts experience. And you've mentioned him several times throughout the show. But how about, in life in general, have there been certain mentors that have kind of, steered you in the right direction or given you good advice, inside or outside of the acting career?
Yes, I mean, first my mom and dad have always, and my grandfather was in the FBI, but they've always kind of instilled that work ethic into me.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously with that, your original mentors are probably your parents. But inside the acting world, yes, there's a lady named Jen Rudolph. She runs this kind of community for actors. She's not an acting coach; she's a business coach. So
Mm-hmm.
she really, really, really knows the business of acting, and she gets you. She gets. I've worked with her for many years, and she's been like an incredible mentor because you have to. And if you're going to be a film actor, you have to treat it as a business. You are a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a business. I'm playing a certain type of role. And so she's been really instrumental in getting all my marketing done, talking to the right people, doing the right things at the right time. And so she's been great. I've worked with her, in 6-month programs that she has, that really, facilitate everything going forward for like the next 5 years, what you're supposed to work on. So she's been really instrumental in that. Aside from that, I've had a couple acting coaches. I had an acting coach here. It's actually when I first got here, named Sarah Wood, who really taught me how to act. Like you come here and you think you know some stuff and you don't. It's like a lot of stuff in martial arts where you get broken down. And it's great though. And she was such a great instructor, not technique wise, but scene analysis wise. So when you're reading it, you know what you're reading and you know what to do. And she was really, really good at that. And I learned, I mean, everything basically I know about acting, I'd say from her. So she was, we unfortunately lost that studio she did during COVID. So we haven't had acting class there. And then she moved to North Carolina. So she's not even here anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
she was a super important, driving force for me in that respect as well.
Mm-hmm.
But other than
Yeah.
that, yeah, Brandon. I mean, I don't really do anything else than come to the studio and take martial arts classes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Brandon's a big influence on my life.
Well, like in anything else, no matter what career path you're on or what industry you're in, it's always great when you can find a mentor that has the experience and has has enough compassion and has enough willingness to share. And sometimes it's hard to choose because there's so many out there. And Brandon saying,
Yeah,
"Yep, he's always here."
I'm here right. I'm here
But
right now doing this podcast.
exactly, right? You never leave. But choosing a mentor can be one of the most important decisions that you make, because when you start, you know, shifting your mindset or adopting the mindset, that changes everything in your life. So and we say that the 5 people that we surround ourselves with the most often is where our life tends to go. And so that's always an important part, whether you play sports or you're an actor or you're in a different field, is having a mentor, having a coach, having someone to help direct you, or if anything else, to bounce ideas off of, to kind of ask those questions. I'm feeling this, I'm thinking this, and they might say, well, have you ever thought of it from this angle? And just kind of expands, right? Instead of being in the same tunnel vision, because you can work really hard and just work hard and work hard and work hard, but if you're not working smart, you could be just wearing yourself out, and at the end of the day, now you just burn out. And that could happen in martial arts, that could happen in acting, that can happen in anything else. um couple more questions I want to ask, because it pertains to, your advice and in a couple different categories. So what advice do you have for people that want to start martial arts? They're in their mid 30s and they haven't been working out, or maybe they are an athlete. Like, what advice do you have for people to start martial arts right now?
Do it. Just get up and walk into a studio and do it. It doesn't, I mean, I guess it definitely matters who, you want the best instructor for you. You want the one that knows like how you think about things, but you just got to get up and do it. It will change your life for the better. If not physically, mentally. It's just, it will make you a much stronger person mentally. You have no choice. You have no choice but to grow mentally if you're in a martial arts program. I mean, it's really been, one of the more amazing growth experiences of my life. You have to grow. You have to progress. If you don't, then you quit. Like that's it. If you stay in the program, you're going to constantly progress and you're going to constantly amaze yourself. And it's just such a strong sport to be a part of, because I'm talking about the mental aspects, but obviously physically you're tested constantly. Our Krav Maga tests are 9 hours long. Like that's a tough thing to get through, and you're gonna feel better. You're just gonna be happier, and you just learn a lot about yourself from doing things like anything in martial arts. And I think that's real important, is to know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you don't know what to do, and then you just, it's that what you just talked about, where you're working hard at something that is, you're not working smart. You're spinning your wheels, just not really doing anything. It just really helps you get a direction. And like you said, I mean, I got, super lucky with Master Kemmer, and your students are obviously very lucky to have you as a mentor, just to bounce ideas off of, to point you in the right direction. I can come with questions and get them answered, immediately in the right way. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's, and it is. I mean, it's super important to have all those things. But my advice would be just to do it. Do it.
Just quote Nike right there. Just do
it. That's it.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, you said it earlier too, that here in LA or California, Southern California area, I mean, there's martial arts schools everywhere. Like, you can literally find one just about, every corner. The one thing that I would add to that is, you can really feel, and you probably felt this, and this is why you stuck with Cutting Edge, is that when you walk into a martial arts school, you can kind of tell if the vibe is for you or not. Because, all martial arts schools are great. Every martial arts school out there is great. Not every martial arts school is for you. So the only way to tell is walk in, meet the instructor, take a class, and like in the first few minutes, you'll know. But I mean, at the end of the day, the benefits of martial arts training are definitely there.
Absolutely.
So let's add this. Josh told me that martial arts helped him become a better actor too. Yeah, we've talked about that time and time again, how it's martial arts helps change your mindset, right? And once you change your mindset, it doesn't matter where you are, that mindset goes everywhere in life with you. Okay, now let's go to the other side. What advice do you have to a young person or someone a little later in life that decides, I want to be an actor? What do you tell them? Now you're going to say, don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
No, the first thing I would ask is, I would say, do you really want this? If you have to really, you can't have a B option. You can't have a backup. If you think you can do and want to do something else, then do that, because you have to, you have to be prepared for it to be a terrible experience before it can be good. And all that rejection and all that stuff, it just builds up, and it really does break you down. And it's hard, it's hard to get through. But if you really want to do it, if you can't stop thinking about it, if that's, if we're talked about passion, if you really think that that's your passion, then you have to do it. You have to put yourself in a good position to do it, though. You have to be in classes. You can't just there's a difference between people who want to be famous and people who want to be actors. If I'd say if you want to be famous and start making videos on TikTok, start making videos on Instagram or something like that. If you want to be an actor, you have to study the craft. You have to learn how to be an actor. You have to learn techniques. You have to learn the fundamentals. You have to learn scene analysis. And you can't do that on your own. You have to have a teacher to teach you that. And after that, then you need to know how to run a business, because that's really the root of it all. And you can't you have to make some concessions, which are, you're probably, if you're an adult, you're going to get typed. You're going to get put into a type out here. Like I play a lot of police officers, a lot of civil service people, things like that. And that's kind of the type that I've been put into. And eventually you can break out of it, but you got to be prepared for that and to play that a lot. And if it's like, you don't get to pick, they get to pick the type for you, and they're going to put you in that type. And then if, it's just a lot of stuff. You just have, I would say, if you really want to do it, if you can't think about anything else in the world at all times, then do it. If you can think of yourself doing something else, then you should probably do that. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. I mean, and that's just like, my whole life, I've known that I want to do this. I've wanted to do it my entire life. I've wanted to be a professional actor. But then when I did John Adams, like we talked about, it was, there's nothing else. I'm doing this.
So who's your favorite actor? Who do you kind of take, maybe model yourself after, or just, I mean, who's your favorite actor?
I like, I mean, that's a tough question. I like a lot of them.
Okay, give me top three.
I probably like Brad Pitt's career the best. I think he's been in some of my, my favorite movies. Fight Club is just, I mean, obviously a classic. I think he's really, really great in that. Robert De Niro is exceptional. I love watching him. He's just it's so simple when you watch him. It's so subtle, everything he does. And he's such a good listener. And that's what people people talk about him. They say he's such a good listener, which is so important in acting. And it just seems so effortless. I just love watching those effortless performances. Like Heath Ledger's the Joker. It's like an effortless performance. Who else? I like Christian Bale. I think is great in some roles. I think he was great, and like the Fighter. I don't like him as Batman as much, but in the Fighter, I mean, there's a lot. I see. I watch a lot of stuff all the time, and I just see performances that I love that just seem kind of effortless. I just love watching those performances. You can tell they put so much work in that has become effortless for them to play this character.
Yeah,
I love those full transformation things.
Yeah, my wife and I watched Jersey Boys last night. Right, really, really good movie. One of my favorites. Right, and Christopher Walken. Right,
yeah,
he's not like the lead in the movie, but like you talk about like effortless, or just like he just kind of like has his way, and talk about uniqueness. Right, I don't know. Christopher Walken had something that like really stood out to me. I mean, they're all the main guys, but like he's got this secondary part, if you will. And just kind of makes it, So I enjoyed watching that last. I'm a huge movie, but like I could watch 2, 3, 4 movies in a day easily. Like love going to the movies, love watching movies, binging series. That's kind of our favorite pastime. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite movie or a top 3?
Favorite movie. I like, I like all those the Oceans movies with the Oceans 11, Oceans 12. I like Oceans 12. That's, when I think about a favorite movie, I think about if I'm scrolling through television and it comes on, I'm going to sit down and watch the entire thing. There's a bunch of movies I love that I've watched one time and I'm like, I don't want to sit through that again. It's a great movie, but it's 3 hours long or whatever. Oceans 12, I'll watch every single time. I like a lot of television series. Lost is probably my favorite television series of all time. I don't know if you've seen that, but
oh yeah,
twice. Yeah, Lost.
I watched Lost. We were actually just talking about watching it again. I'm like, I can watch the whole series again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just like that show. I just got so obsessed with that. They do something because it's a lot of science and physics and stuff like that. And they talk about black holes and all this stuff. And I just learned so much from looking stuff up after. Seeing episodes. That was just, I mean, I love, that show was just so great. It had such good actors, and my dog's name is Sawyer after that show. And but they, you know, for the most part, they were all unknown actors, and they all got the chance to do it, and they were all just so good. Everybody was so good on that show, and the story is just great. And yeah, it's just that's like
pretty.
a perfect show. I mean, Breaking Bad, stuff
It's
like that.
pretty cool to how it developed, right?
Yeah.
Like how it developed over time and how it changed in the seasons. And it's so funny that you said you learned a lot, because like I'm that guy that when I'm watching a series or watching a movie and like a fact pops up or just something like, what was that? I'm constantly Googling throughout movies to like get the backstory of like,
Yeah.
okay, what was that all about? Right.
Yep.
So that's so funny. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. And you knew in that series, Lost especially, that every single detail mattered. So
Yeah.
you're focused, hyper focused on everything.
Totally. Right on. Cool. Well, we could probably, because I could talk about movies all day long. We could just have a whole hour long show on that. But last question, because I asked you, what was your advice for people who want to start martial arts? What was your advice for someone who wants to become an actor? But last question, what is your advice for people that are in a position where they feel stuck? What should they do?
I would say if you have a passion, go after it. You have to trust yourself. You have to bet on yourself. If you don't do that, you're going to be stuck forever. And if you really want something, things just have a way of working out. And if they don't, you'll figure out a way to work it out. There's no reason not to try something, because most likely if you're stuck in something, you can go back to that. But if you take a dive and you trust yourself that you can do it, and you can bet on yourself, and you can really surprise yourself, and amazing things can happen. It's a powerful thing. It makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel like you're the person that you're supposed to be. And I think, I think that is such an important thing, to wake up every day saying, I am the person I'm supposed to be, instead of saying I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah. I love it. I wrote that down. Bet on yourself. That's a great piece of advice right there. Well, listen, thanks for being on the show. Super excited to have you on here. And, in the future, when you're in that series that you've been waiting to get on, and you've got that, award-winning show, I'm going to be able to look back and say, Josh was on the Master Motivation podcast.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. This is great. It's great to, I haven't gotten, a lot of time to talk with you. So it's been great. This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being candid and vulnerable and sharing your experiences. And also, thank you to Master Kemmer. Brandon Kemmer is still out there watching, as are a few more. And I just want to remind you guys, please, once again, go to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. Do us a favor and share this video with Josh Archer. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Master Motivation. Go out, make sure you bet on yourself.
Yeah.
See you guys.